If you use the internet to market and get people's attention so that you can sell a product or a service, especially if you're an expert, you're a coach, you teach something on the internet, I just want to make this video to explain and hopefully shortcut your learning process, because this took me hundreds of thousands of dollars of my own money, just burning it, throwing it in the fire to learn this one little concept that nobody talks about. And I genuinely think not enough people talk about this. They talk about it to a degree, but there's a small detail that they always leave out, and it's one of the most important details. It kind of makes or breaks a lot of your marketing campaigns, and if you actually garner the attention from the people that you want. If you ain't seen this face before, my name is Chris. I have my own coaching businesses where I show experts in their field how to package and sell their knowledge on the internet. The moment where I figured out that I really needed to figure this thing out, I was running a lot of Facebook ads on the interwebs trying to get people's attention, specifically people who would actually give me money. So people who are willing to buy from me. I would spend $5 here, $10 here, not a whole lot of money, but it started off small and it always increased, and the problem always existed as I increased. Every time I ran ads, every time I posted on social media, it just seems like the people that were interested in what I had have $0, and they weren't really actually that dedicated to what they were gonna learn from me. It's super frustrating because you put in all this money into ads, you're scared, you're seeing processing fees every day on your bank account. $1,000, $1,000, $1,000, $1,000. And you just kept having these conversations with people that just weren't serious. They'd ghost you. They never seem that dedicated. Either that, or you get to the end of the conversation and they're like, I don't have any money to pay you. It was the bane of my existence. And I still feel like it's always going to be somewhat of a problem, but I've definitely felt like I've mitigated that. After years and hundreds and thousands of dollars that have been put into the fire just to test and get this knowledge. I would go to different conferences, speak to other online entrepreneurs, and they would say the same thing. They would constantly get what they call it as bad leads, bad quality leads, poor people, people who aren't willing to pay. Literally the thing that we had to just get rid of. And something that I learned after doing this for a while is it's not only about attracting the people, but it's also repelling all the people that you don't want, because that creates more noise that you have to filter through, which takes you longer to get to the people who are good, that are willing to pay you. And what happens is you have this thing called a Facebook pixel. The more data that you feed this pixel, the more it would give you in return of the information that it got. So if you got a bunch of bad leads, it would feed this pixel all this bad information, and it would pump out more bad information and more bad leads for you. So annoying. The goal is to get good leads that pay you, but at the same time prime your pixel so that it's filled with good people. That way you have good data, you could put it out in the world, and you could get more good people into your world, essentially. Anyway, that's where it all started. I kept getting bad leads. I spoke to other people, they got bad leads. I'd speak to my clients, they'd get bad leads. So there was this one little tweak that after a long time, I finally realized, and I'm gonna share it with you right now. We're gonna jump over to this whiteboard. I'm gonna share exactly what that is. Okay, so if you know anything about marketing or you've been studying it at all, you're always hearing from different marketers. They tell you to talk about your perfect client, whoever your perfect client is. If you're going after musicians, guitarists, lawyers, whatever it is, you talk about that perfect client. And what you talk about in the marketing to attract that perfect client is you talk about their problems, what their pain points are, and what their desires are, what their dreams are. There's this little detail that they don't tell you, and this is the sauce to all of it. If you talk about general problems, or general pain points, or general desires that your market is having, so if I'm talking about a guitarist, right? If I said, do you want to be an amazing guitarist that can perform and play whatever you want? That is going to attract all of your perfect clients, but guess who else it attracts? All the people that you don't want and that have that dream. A lot of people want to be millionaires, but how many people are actually putting in the effort, working every day towards becoming a millionaire? Not a whole lot of people. Most people dream of it and then they go to their 9-to-5 and they do the same thing over and over. If I said, do you want to be a millionaire? How many people are going to sign up? All the people that are trying and all the people that aren't trying. So what you end up doing is if you put general problems out into the world in your marketing, you end up attracting everybody, this massive bucket of people. You do attract the people who are serious, and they're far and few in between. But at the same time, you're having to remove all of this noise of the people who are not serious, who aren't willing to try, who aren't willing to put in the work, what ends up happening is like you are dealing with so much noise that you get discouraged and you start to think that you're only getting bad leads. But it just happens to be that the majority of people that you're bringing in are bad leads. There's still good leads in there, but you're so focused on all these bad people, you forget that there's a few of the good ones. That's just the mental game. But if you do this at scale, at volume, your team is going to have to filter out all this noise just to get to the good people. The takeaway here is that don't talk about general problems or desires that everybody wants, because then you attract everybody, including the bad noise. So if I said, are you somebody who wants to get better at guitar? Are you somebody who wants to get better at dancing? That's going to bring in all the people that are serious and are trying, but that's also going to bring in people that aren't serious, aren't motivated, aren't willing to invest, aren't willing to put in the money. You're going to get all of it. And when you get all of it, it gets really, really messy. So to mitigate most of the noise, what you should be talking about is specific problems that only people who are trying really hard at getting that goal can relate to, and make it unrelatable to everybody else who isn't trying. If you were trying to save money on taxes, you spent your days, a lot of your waking hours, figuring out tax laws, figuring out different loopholes, different ways to be able to save money on your taxes. What's the problem that you had already solved to where you have that problem? You've already made a bunch of money. You've already made millions of dollars. You're just trying to figure out how to preserve it. A W-2 employee, somebody who works a job, somebody who makes 70 grand a year, is not sitting on the internet looking at the different tax laws, trying to figure out how to preserve their money, because they haven't made the money to begin with to learn how to preserve it. So that's only relatable to people who make a lot of money. So it's these small nuances in your marketing, making that shift and just putting the attention on the specific problem is going to change everything. That's where you start attracting more of the people that you want, and then you eliminate upfront the people that don't try, or they don't have the money, or they don't, whatever it is. You eliminate those people up front. That way they don't go into your funnel, they don't go into your system, they don't visit your website, go on your email, and they don't bother you, because you're eliminating them off the top end instead of bringing them in and having to sift through each individual person. If you talk about the specific problems unrelatable to these people, they're going to keep scrolling on your ad and they're not even going to pay attention because they don't know what you're talking about. Just go back to that problem. If I was saying, doesn't it feel like a full-time job sitting there, checking out YouTube videos, looking at blogs, and looking for different strategies and tax laws on how to save money on the taxes, on money that you've already made? That pain point isn't going to hit somebody who hasn't made that money and isn't sitting there looking at the different tax laws. Somebody who's made millions of dollars, they're going to be able to relate to it. They're going to be like, how do you even know that that's what I'm doing right now? How do you know that that's a problem? And if you can describe their problem better than they understand it themselves, they're going to automatically assume that you have some kind of solution to it. If I had the sharp pain that started from the tip of my nose and like went down to my toe, every hour it was just like, huh, and it was like this sharp pain and it just sucked so bad. I went to the doctor. I went to 5 different doctors. They couldn't give me an answer or say what it was. Let's just say I was walking down the street with my buddy and I was telling him it starts at the nose, goes down to the toe, and some guy pops out of the bushes and says, hey, that feeling that you're talking about, does it come every hour and it starts at your nose and it goes down to your toe and you just freeze up and you can't feel exactly? I'd be like, how do you know what that is? Like, how do you know this situation? Like, how do I fix it? Mind you, this was a homeless man that popped out of the bushes. He's not a doctor. He doesn't have a PhD. He doesn't have any of that. He just popped out of the bushes and described the situation so well and the pain so well that I automatically am like, how do you fix it? If you can describe somebody's problem better than they understand it themselves, they automatically assume that you have the solution. So if you're describing something in great detail like that, you're only going to get the attention of the people that are qualified, and then they're going to believe you know what you were talking about because you described it so well. So specific problems. I just used that as an example, but another one. If you are going after singers, are you a singer that gets up on stage every day? Somewhere deep down inside, you're afraid that if you keep doing the wrong technique, you're going to hurt your vocal cords and you're going to have to get expensive surgery and put yourself out of a career. But you get on stage anyways because people are relying on you and you just keep putting it in the back of your head, but you're secretly afraid that something is going to happen. If I said that to a singer who gets up on stage and does that every day, only they can relate to it. If it's somebody who sings in the shower and doesn't really do it professionally, do you think they're gonna be able to relate to it? No. But if I said, do you wanna be a pop star? Everybody wants to be a pop star. So you gotta get more specific about the problems that your audience is going through, but it's only relatable to the people who are putting in a lot of effort to get to that goal. And if you do that, that's gonna massively change the lead quality that goes into your funnel, into your system, and then you're not gonna have to deal with all this noise. You're just left with the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop, the better people. That is the one shift in the marketing that's gonna make a big difference in your life. If you're an expert, you're an entrepreneur, and you teach other people your expertise and your knowledge, and you wanna learn how to package a high ticket offer, market, attract the right people like this, and how to sell them, I'm gonna leave a link down below to a free training where I'm gonna show you exactly how to do that. Subscribe to this channel if you found this helpful, and share this with somebody that you feel like would really benefit from this, and I'll see you in the next video.